Hi all. In my today's video cast, I'll talk about load balancing of J2E applications deployed on Tomcat server, and the Tomcat server should be balanced through your Apache HTTP server. So Apache HTTP server will be acting as a front server. Then the loads will be balanced to the or loads will be forwarded to the corresponding available Tomcat servers. So the communication will be achieved through a connector called mod JK connector. So first of all, we need a few things for to demonstrate all of these. We need a HTTP server like Apache or IIS. So in my case, I'm using Apache HTTP server. So I need that. So you can download specific version. The latest is 2.4.2, but in my demo I have used 2.2.22. So you can download these and install it. The installation is pretty easy. With the self-explanatory detail screen, you can install Apache. Then also I have downloaded the Tomcat connector, that is mod JK connector, from the download area. And we need Apache Tomcat as well, because our some simple demo applications will be deployed in our Tomcat server. So I have already installed Apache through a tool called XAMP. So I'll just show you that directly. So XAMPP has inbuilt Apache, PHP, and MySQL with it. So we'll go to the Apache directory. It has everything. The bin folder where the executable are available. Conf, all the configuration are stored here, starting from the main file http.conf. Then the modules. This is the main thing in Apache. So we need. So this is the basic directory structure of Apache when you install it, either directly or through XAMPP. So this is what we want. Then as I told you, we need a few instances of Tomcat servers. So I have already downloaded them. So these are the two instances of Tomcat 7.0.29. I have renamed to C1 and C2 just to have a good nomenclature of cluster 1 and cluster 2. And now we'll see how do we uh, create a load balancer with Apache Tomcat and Apache with the help of mod JK connector. So first of all, to do that, we have to download the mod JK connector. So it's a SO file. If you download it and extract, you will get an SO file like this. So you have to place this SO file under the installation folder of Apache's module directory. So if you go to XAMPP tool, then Apache has this modules directory. You paste that, so that mod JK. So this is the file under models. So what will happen? Apache will detect this is a module file, dynamic file, and all information related to all configuration level changes with respect to mod JK can be executed by this module. So we'll go one by one directly, so slowly. Just now I have copied the models file, and as mod JK says, there is a concept of workers in the in mod JK. So worker is nothing but a group of Apache Tomcat instances that has to be configured. That now how do Apache HTTP server or mod JK connector of Apache communicates to the Tomcat server? So there is something called a AJP port, and through which mod JK communicates to Tomcat server. Through the configuration, I'll show you what is that. Now I have installed my mod JK module in Apache. Now I'll go to the Tomcat servers. So if you go here, now open the conf directory. I have used two Tomcat instances named C1 and C2. So I'll just go to the server.xml. I'll show you a few entries over here. So here you can see the default shutdown port 8005. Then 8080 is the default port where you can access your application. 8443 is the default SSL port. Now the connector, you can see entry called connector. The port is 8009 and the protocol is AJP. Through this protocol and this port number, your mod JK will come from the server. Similarly, if you open the other server.xml of my other cluster, C1, let's say I'll go to C2, same conf server.xml. So since I am running these two Tomcat instances in a single machine, so I have just changed the port numbers so that there will not be a clash between the ports. So earlier it was 8005, I made it to 8105. Similarly for other ports also 8180, through which I can access my application. Then similarly for the AJP port, it's 8109. So my Apache HTTP server will communicate to this Tomcat server via this AJP protocol and port number 8109. This is the basic configuration we need when we have a load balancing environment with respect to Apache HTTP server and mod.jk. Now again we'll move back to mod.jk. The configuration are pretty simple. I'll just show you that one by one. So you open HTTP conf here of Apache HTTP server. This is the main configuration file for Apache HTTP server. Now there are a few things I have done it here. So what I did, I have loaded the module of mod.jk. This is the basic syntax to load any module. So the module name is jk module, through which your Apache will understand any request comes from this mod.jk. Then workers file. This workers file will have a configuration of your Tomcat servers, which have details like your Tomcat host name, the port numbers and all. So similarly simple for JK, the log label for your request tracing, the log file, and the most important thing is mount. So this is the mount, like through to which URL you want to pass the request to your load balancer. LB stands for load balancer. So I'll show you where it is used. So I have what I did. I created a mounting point of cluster web. My example, for the demo purpose, I have created an application called the cluster web, and whenever a request comes for that, I'm just forwarding to the load balancer. The next entry is location. This is for the JK manager, through which you can see your status of your load balancing environment. So I'll show you that also. So we'll go one by one. We'll open workers.properties. So to do that, you have to create a simple properties file, dot property file. You name it any name. So same name you have to give it here. So let's open this file. So you can see this now workers also. So you have to create a key value path syntax over here. I'll describe you what are those. So this first is worker.list. This talks about the load balancer what we are forwarding here. The next is workers.worker1. So you can have multiple workers, n number of workers. So as I have two instances, so I have created only two worker instance here. So worker.worker1.port 8009. So my first cluster's AJP port is 8009. My first Tomcat servers protocol, AJP port is 8009, and the host is localhost, and protocol is type is 1.3 AJP3. Now the second worker2, port is 8109. In the next cluster, I have the port is 8109. So the host is localhost. And if you have a distributed environment, you have a different location, then you can mention that over here. This sticky session and other I'll discuss when we go for high availability and session replication. And here it says worker.lb, load balancer type is equal to LB. Then this is the most important thing, where I say worker.loadbalancer.balance underscore workers. So this is the entry where we specify the number of workers will be responsible for this load balancing. So if I say you have another entry over here, you have 3 workers entry, and you have only 2 entry here, then the entries which are made it here, those 2 servers will be available for this load balancing. That means if I have something called worker 3 over here, the configuration, and I'll not mention it, only worker 1 and worker 2 will be added to the load balancer. So these are 2 entries where we can just see the status of your load balancer. So this is the basic entries of your worker properties. So first thing, your load balancer type, then the worker 1 and worker 2, like n number of workers you have, So the port is 8009. So you have to remember this. This is not the HTTP port or something through which you are accessing your application. This is the AJP port through which your Apache will communicate to the Tomcat servers. Now this is done. This part is done. Now few things you have to change. Few more things you have to change in your Tomcat server.xml file. What is that? Now you open your server.xml file. You'll find an entry called engine. So there you can see you have to specify something. Your JVM route. Quite directly related to your worker's properties file. So whatever name you are giving here for your worker, that particular name you have to give in your JVM route. Okay. Say example, for 8109, my worker name is worker2. So I have given it here JVM route equal to worker2. For my first instance, I have given worker1. Sorry, I changed mistake here. This should be worker2 and this should be worker. Now my setups are done. My mod JK is installed, my workers property is ready. Now what else? I don't need anything. First of all, we verify our installation, everything is fine or not. So to do that, you go to the Apache installation folder. So to check the Apache configuration are correct or not, there is a syntax called httpd -t. You put, it will just validate your configuration. So it says syntax okay. That means our installation are proper. So just exit this window. Now we have to since we have modified the server.xml of our corresponding Tomcat servers. So we'll just start these servers again and we'll see this whether our installation is proper or not. So you go to the installation directory of your cluster one, go to bin directory, then just run catalina.sh run. So it will just run the Apache Tomcat server. So it says AZP AR is 8009. Similarly, for the other instance, uh, you do the same thing. Just uh, your both the Tomcat servers are running. Now just verify it. I have just accessed the default page of Tomcat. For this is my cluster one. So this is my Tomcat 2. So both my Tomcat servers are running. Now, if you see again my HTTP conf, only the URL which has cluster web only can be forwarded to the corresponding server. So to do that, I have created a web application with servlet 3 or JSPs, normal JSPs I have. I have created a web application. I have already deployed it. I'll just walk you through the application whatever I have developed. So this is my cluster web. Right, so it's a basic J2E application or J2E web application which has two JSP pages, index and store. So here what I'm doing, I'm just checking whether anything is there in session or not. If anything is there, then I'm displaying it, or else I'm giving an option to store something in the session. In the store.jsp file, I'm just retrieving the input value whatever user has sent, and I'm just storing in my session. So this simple thing I'm doing. So as of now, what I'll do, I'll just show you what is the advantages of having a load balancing environment over here. We'll just have a static serving capability of our server, static site serving capability of our servers. We'll just demonstrate. Now I have already deployed this application in my Tomcat servers. So I'll show you them. C1 web apps. So cluster web is already there. So it's already running. Similarly for C2 cluster 2, I have already deployed cluster and cluster. So we'll verify them in individual Tomcat servers. Plus cluster web. Okay, it's working. See, whatever I have created index page is coming. Similarly for the second instance also, I have also created that. Now both the applications are running on different machines. Now the best thing is how do we access them in my Apache server. So what I do, I'll just go to localhost, then cluster web. I hit enter. So my Apache server will identify the request. When the request contains a URI called cluster web, then it will go to HTTP conf and it will forward to the JK manager, JK mount. So what it does, it matches this request and forward to the load balancer. Now this worker property will come into picture. It will see how many load balancers are there. Accordingly, it will forward to the request. Now let's say your application is sorry, your application is running here. Now I'll just shut down my one server. Okay. Now you still say still your application is running. That means the request is served by the other server which is already running. See, my first cluster is down, 8009, which port with port number 8009 is down, and my other application is up. Sorry, application server is up. Now your Apache server will identify which Tomcat cluster or Tomcat instance is down. Accordingly, it will forward to the next available Tomcat server. Let's say I'll do one thing. I'll stop the running one C2 instance. I'll start C1 instance. Now you hit again. You just refresh this page. See again, like you're not getting the server is down or something. Again, what Apache has done, Apache has identified that C2 is down and the next available server is C1. So again, it forwarded the request to C1 cluster. So this is the best uses when we have load balancing concept, when you have different kind of clusters and you can uninterruptedly you can serve the requests. One more thing I want to add here, in my HTTP conf, I have talked about JK manager. So what it does is through this JK manager, we can list how many servers are running and what are my configurations. So make it So to do that, you just access localhost and remember allow from this IP. So that means this JK Manager application can be accessible through this IP. So to do that, I have already accessed this. So I'll just refresh this application. So you can see JK. This is my local loopback IP, and I'm accessing through JK Manager space. And this just lists me the number of available configurations in my thing. So you can see this worker one, worker two. So JVM route is worker and worker two. It says active state is active, active state is active here also. Both are active and both are connected through port number 809 8109. So if you have number of other workers or Tomcat instances, it will list all the things. So there are a lot of things over here. This is a basic example or demonstration of having a load balancer with Apache. In my next session, I will just talk about clustering of Tomcat servers and how high availability of sessions. That means whenever you store something in session, the session value will not be lost when the Tomcat instance is going down. Okay, so that will be covered in my next session.